Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the advantages of being the junior most member of the committee on our side of the aisle is you get to listen to everything that's gone on before you during the course of a hearing. And I want to add my voice to my colleagues who have raised the concern about what happened yesterday. I listened to my ranking member ask a legitimate oversight question about the legal basis for troops to be rappelling from a Blackhawk helicopter for a military-style assault on an apartment building in a major city, the zip tying of children. What was the legal basis for this? I heard my ranking member ask that very simple question, that completely appropriate question. If that's not an appropriate oversight question, I don't know what an appropriate oversight question is. And the response was not just to refuse to answer the question, but it was to attack the character of the ranking member and to insult him.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to America Patriots, the only channel where common sense still has a pulse, coffee is strong, and oversight hearings don't require a helmet and emotional support animal. Before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe, smash that like button, and drop a comment down below. Every time you do, a bald eagle grows a new feather, a bureaucrat feels slightly uncomfortable, and YouTube gets real confused why people still love freedom. So go ahead, make big tech work for it. All right, let's talk about this circus of a hearing.
And then when it was Senator Whitehouse's turn to ask a question, he asked a very legitimate oversight question about a FBI undercover operation in which reportedly $50,000 was paid to the White House border czar prior to him becoming the White House border czar, but with the expectation that he would be helpful in arranging contracts when he became the White House border czar. What happened to the money? A perfectly legitimate oversight question. And rather than answer that question, in a closed investigation, not an open investigation, but a closed investigation, she simply attacked Senator Whitehouse personally. And I heard another one of my colleagues ask what was the legal basis for blowing up ships in the Caribbean. Reportedly, the Justice Department wrote an opinion justifying blowing up ships in the Caribbean, a perfectly legitimate oversight question, and the response was another personal attack. These what were apparently canned, written personal attacks in advance. I wouldn't bother with the attacks on me. I've grown all too accustomed to them for the last 8 years. But if members of this committee can't ask those serious questions and get serious answers, we can't do oversight. I'm new to this committee. I spent about a decade on the House Judiciary Committee. I never saw a hearing like this with a cabinet officer, and if I did and some Democratic cabinet officer were to personally attack each of my Republican colleagues, I would call for a stop to it. It would be disgraceful. And I understand the reluctance to criticize on your side of the aisle one of the Republican cabinet members. But if this becomes the template for future hearings, we won't be able to do any oversight, and things will just degenerate. These questions deserve answers. I would expect that if troops were rappelling from helicopters in any city, in any of your states, and hog-tying children, you would want to know the legal basis. And so would I. We are going to submit for the record in written form the questions that the Attorney General refused to answer. I would hope, Mr. Chairman, you would join us in submitting those questions. They will have a much better chance of being answered if you join us in submitting those questions. But I would hope also in the future that if a witness, rather than respond, simply attacks our members, that it be stopped. That the witness be instructed to either answer the question or to state why they're refusing to answer the question, but to refrain from personal attacks on the members of this committee. That would be my request. And Mr. Chairman, I'm really grateful to be on this committee. And I appreciate every interaction I've had with you. You have, in our personal interactions, always been eminently fair. If I didn't think that you were of that character, I wouldn't even raise this because there wouldn't be a point. But I would ask that we not have another hearing like that one, and that you join in our legitimate oversight requests. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thought that I set the decorum for a hearing, oversight hearing, when I said before we asked the director of the FBI any questions or any statements, that we should, both sides, treat each other with respect. And I even said to Patel, if you don't get a chance to answer your questions, I'll give you an opportunity after the senator's finished for a few minutes to respond whatever you didn't get a chance to say. And you know how that meeting turned out. And particularly from your side of the aisle, a lot of strong statements about the FBI director. Whether they were legitimate or not is beside the point. It didn't follow the decorum, and obviously the director of the FBI didn't follow the decorum. So I don't know what more I can do than plead with my people who are fellow senators to follow a certain decorum, and I assume it would be followed on the other side. I don't appreciate the insults that went to Democrat members, particularly where they were wrong, but after seeing how senators handled the FBI director, I guess I felt that just let the show go on the way the senators wanted to go on. And that's what developed as a result of it. That may be a weak excuse for what happened that day, but I thought things didn't work out the way I expected them to when the FBI director was here, and some of the people on your side of the aisle were some of the ones that were screaming and yelling and talking over the FBI director. Meeting adjourned.
So I'm watching this video, right? And this junior senator, God bless him, finally gets his turn to talk after everybody else has treated the oversight hearing like open mic night at a dive bar. And he says what we were all thinking. What on earth happened yesterday? And honestly, same question. I'm sitting at home thinking, did I accidentally turn on a reality show? Is this The Bachelor, DOJ edition, where the only rose being handed out is a subpoena? This guy lays it out. Troops rappelling from Blackhawks onto an apartment building. Kids getting zip-tied. Some operation in the Caribbean apparently involving boats going boom. And the Attorney General responded to questions with personal attacks. Now look, I'm just a humble right-wing patriot sitting in front of the camera, drinking my third cup of coffee. But if troops fast-roped onto an apartment in my city, I'd want to know the legal basis too. Seems reasonable. But apparently asking questions now counts as being difficult. Meanwhile, the AG acted like the senators were trying to take his lunch money. Forget answers. He came with pre-written insults. PRE written. That's not oversight. That's a roast battle where nobody's funny. Then Senator Whitehouse, who I don't usually agree with on anything, including weather forecasts, actually asked a normal, grown-up oversight question about $50,000 supposedly paid to a guy before he became the border czar. And instead of answering, the AG hits him with a WWE-style verbal suplex. I'm sitting there thinking, buddy, this is Congress, not Twitter. Calm down. Then the chairman responds and basically admits, yeah, decorum went out the window. Both sides were shouting at the FBI director. So I just let the chaos continue. Sir, with respect, that is not how any of this works. When you're the chairman, you don't just shrug and say, well, everyone else was yelling, so I figured, why not? That's what a substitute teacher says the last week of school before summer vacation. The junior senator is right. If this becomes a new standard for hearings, forget oversight. We might as well replace Congress with puppets and let them yell at each other. Actually, scratch that. Puppets might show more discipline. And look, I say this all the time on this channel. Oversight isn't optional. Oversight isn't rude. Oversight isn't partisan. It's literally the job. If a federal agency is blowing up boats, zip-tying kids, rappelling out of helicopters like they're auditioning for Mission Impossible 12, and tossing around 50 grand bribes like coupon codes, yeah, maybe we should ask a question or two. Just a thought. But instead of answers, we got insults, deflection, and enough drama to fuel a whole season of political soap opera spin-offs. So here's the takeaway from this patriotic American. If Congress can't ask questions, they can't do oversight. If they can't do oversight, agencies get reckless. And when agencies get reckless, well, that's when you find yourself watching troops descend from helicopters outside your window while you're just trying to microwave leftovers. And that is why we need strong right-side leadership that stands firm, asks the hard questions, and, importantly, doesn't let witnesses turn hearings into insult contests. A little decorum, a little accountability, and maybe, just maybe, a few answers. All right, Patriots, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe so you never miss a video where we break down DC's latest adventure in things that shouldn't happen but somehow did. Hit like, drop a comment. Tell me what you think about this hearing. Should the chairman enforce stronger rules? Should the AG have answered the questions? Should Congress start handing out timeouts like kindergarten? Let me know below. Your comments power this channel. This is America Patriots, where freedom lives, facts matter, and Congress is, well, entertaining but not in a good way. See you next time.